Malignant is the latest movie from James Wan. He has produced, written, and directed this movie, and I was super excited to watch it. I love me some James Wan. I thought I was going to be getting a heightened version of what he's already put out as far as the Conjuring series, the Insidious series, possibly even a little bit of that Aquaman horror movie he wanted to make that never, maybe is going to happen or not. I don't know where that's going, but I love me some James Wan. I loved Aquaman. So got Malignant going, watching it. Let's dive into what I think about the movie. So let's start off with the good because it's shorter than the rest of the review, really. So what I liked about the movie from an overall standpoint was the cinematography and the visual effects, which is what James Wan kind of has like pioneered, I would say, a little bit with the modern horror movie. So this movie has somewhat less of the jump scares. It goes for the more of the blood and gore, which is not that it's not to say not in James Wan's realm or wheelhouse, but it wasn't quite what I expected. But it was okay and welcomed. I'll take it. It's very in the horror genre. But what I liked that was familiar and that he kind of took up a notch was definitely the cinematography and the visual effects. So there's scenes that you're going to see where he does stuff with the camera and the panning that really kind of messes with your mind and kind of puts you in type of thrilling and panic mode. Especially there's a scene where Madison, the main character, is running through her house and we get this really cool shot of like a top-down view, kind of as if we're looking at like a floor plan of the house. And I thought that was really, really cool. And it, you're like, oh my gosh, where's she going? Where are we going next? You're following like a maze, kind of, it was really cool. And then we got the parts where she basically has a psychic link with the main villain of the movie, Gabriel. And every time she is about to be present during a kill, the room, the scenery around her basically transforms into the scenery where Gabriel is and he's about to the kill. So she's like right there in the action, like front row seats. And it's just kind of cool how it goes to that scene and then goes back out to where she was. So that's something we haven't seen before, I don't believe, in some James Wan movie that actually worked pretty well. As I said, we did get some blood and gore, and while sometimes it does seem kind of cheesy in some ways because it reminds me of practical effects of old, even though I'm pretty sure a lot of it was all CGI, it was pretty cool to see just the sheer goriness and just maliciousness of the character Gabriel. He does not hold back. He is relentless. I guess that's what I was looking for. And he just lets everybody have it. And whether you're slashed, smashed in, eyes poked out, gutted to death, whatever the case may be, James Wan does not leave any stone unturned or any person undamaged, I guess you could say, when it comes to blood and gore, and I was all for it. All right, so that's basically all I'm doing as far as the good. So let's move on to the bad. The story and the script. Now, I have to say that this movie to me seemed all over the place. The very beginning of the movie, the Lifetime movie part, I don't think we needed. I get once you see the third act, I'm going to try my hardest not to spoil the movie. I'm going to try my hardest because I want y'all to watch it. It's an hour and 51 minutes, but I want y'all to watch it so y'all can, put the pieces together on your own, which shouldn't be very hard. But it just, did we really need it to go that way? Did we really need for that to happen? That I'm not sure. So, it just seemed like there's too many things going on. There's too many elements in the movie. Is it this kind of horror movie or this kind of horror movie? Are we going this direction? We're going this other direction, and we're going here, and we're going there. We're going like, it's just like, it was like a hodgepodge of stuff, and it didn't need to be that way. I think that there were certain parts of the story that seemed pretty clear and laid out, and if you just focused on those certain things and made them more fluid, it could have been a, better story for the horror movie. I know that most horror movies don't have a very good story. They're all about the thrill and the blood and the gore and all that, but that's fine. But, James Wan I've come to expect some type of story with. And this one, while there is a story, don't get me wrong, it just seemed kind of all over the place. It just seemed really convoluted and just a little fat, in my opinion. Now, I will say when you watch this, a lot of movies come to mind. Lights Out comes to mind. The Ring. There was a recent movie called Come Play about an imaginary friend. And one you can only select an electrical devices that messes with electricity. That's how he traveled. That comes to mind. A lot of Lifetime B movies come to mind. A lot of B horror movies come to mind. Law and Order SVU with the detectives. Yeah, even Harry Potter comes to mind, and you'll understand why when you watch the movie. But that's a lot of movies to pull from, and none of those seem to be good things to pull from, except from maybe Law and Order SVU if it's got Christopher Maloney in it and Mariska Hargitay. But they weren't the detectives in this movie, so yeah, I don't think those are good things to base your movie on or even pull elements from. The Ring was good, but the sequel, not so much. But anyways, that's what you're gonna watch and feel like, and it's just kind of, it just kind of doesn't really add anything to the movie. So let's talk about Gabriel. So I'm not gonna talk about Madison or her sister Sydney or all the convolutedness of their relationship with their parents and etc. But Gabriel wanted to focus on because he is very interesting because throughout the whole movie I was trying to figure out what kind of villain he is, what kind of horror movie villain he is, and comparing it to other horror movies I've seen. And I was really trying to think, based off of the clues you get in the movie, he could have been any plethora of things until you got to the third act. But when you automatically know that he's an imaginary friend, but is he an imaginary friend? Is he a mutated being? Is he a supernatural being? Is he the devil? James Wan does a really good job of trying to throw you off as to what exactly Gabriel is or who Gabriel is. And in some ways it works, in some ways it doesn't, because I'm like, this guy's all over the place. That's why I said this movie is all over the place, because when it comes to him, you can't put a nail on it until the third act. But if you're watching this movie and you're not got to the third act yet, how's that going to work? So to me, while Gabriel can seem kind of cool, he's very confusing in what he can do. He can seem to do all kinds of things, but does it work? I don't think so. I think if we kept to more of like, if he's supernatural, stick to supernatural things that he can do. If he was more of like a mutant or some, Jason Voorhees looking person, stick to that realm. That kind of thing. Like if he was a Jigsaw type person, stay in that realm with the cop aspect. Stay in the lane of that. Don't try to merge them all together and make like a hodgepodge of all three. Next thing is the soundtrack. So this soundtrack is not what I was expecting. Now, don't get me wrong. In Insidious, you have that weird fricked up, I don't know what you call that, where it's like the old vintagey song, the window, by the window, da, 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 that creepy voice. But that just means it was creepy, right? It was creepy. This, I got like somewhat horror movie soundtracky with like 80s rave music. Like I'd expect to see like if I watch Stranger Things or like the recent the Fear Street movies on Netflix. And then also like a horror sci-fi action movie. So if I was watching like Underworld or like, I don't know, Alien or something, like it just doesn't really fit. It didn't really fit the movie. Like I was really wanting just more sinister music, kind of like creepy sinister, like I get from like the Conjuring or the Insidious movies, or Sinister the movie itself, or I mean there's a number of movies that use more of like a very like thrilling, shrieking, just kind of like makes you just freak out kind of soundtrack, and I just didn't get that from this movie. So I did want to talk about real quick some personal Easter eggs. So in the movie there is, which I know this is somewhat of a spoiler, but I want to talk about it because I personally lived it. So this movie is set in Seattle. I've actually got to visit Seattle, and the movie does mention the underground tour, which I did get to do. So it's kind of cool to see some scenes from the tour in this movie. And I think there's even like the gift shop that they actually turned into, like they cleared it out or something. And if I'm not mistaken, because there's a part where some of the characters are in this part, and I was like, I thought that was a gift shop. But anyways, if you get a chance to go to Seattle and do the tour, I'd highly recommend it. It's some interesting history about the city. And most of what that lady was talking about in the movie is kind of true, as far as there's underground passages that people don't know about, or there's lots of passages, but it was really kind of cool. And then the second little personal Easter egg is there's the character of Dr. Victor Fields, which we see in the very beginning of the movie, and he unfortunately was one of the victims, which I'm pretty sure you know that already. But he basically is the victim of a home invasion. That's how he's killed. And what I think is ironic is in the 80s and 90s show The Golden Girls, which I'm a fan of. He is actually a home security salesman who tries to sell a home security kit to the Golden Girls. So while he is not able to understand that someone could be coming into his home to kill him, he is ultimately a...
So those are the facts, ladies. It's not a pretty picture. 1 out of every 3 people will be the victim of a violent crime.
That's awful.
And since there are 4 of you, that means at least 1 of you will be a victim of a violent crime. 1 of you right here.
So one other thing I wanted to say before I get to my final thoughts and rating is this movie does set up the possibility of a sequel, and all I have to say is please don't give us a Malignant 2. I don't think this movie needs to go any further. I think it did what it meant to do, and I think if James Wan wants to do anything, give us an Insidious sequel that goes with the first 2, and I don't know, add another movie to the Conjuring series. Where's our Nun 2 movie? Give us stuff like that. I don't personally want a Malignant 2. Alright, so final thoughts on Malignant. Like I said, I was very hopeful to watch the movie, but it totally felt like just a B movie with a bigger budget and a longer runtime, and I just didn't personally enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it. There was a lot of times I was watching this movie and thinking to myself, what am I watching? What is this? The dialogue was not good. The story just was all over the place. This really just felt like a B movie and not like something I would come to expect from James Wan. I wanted a Conjuring Insidious movie heightened. I wanted it more maybe violent, more bloody, more gory. I wanted more gore. Give me something like that. Like, turn that up a notch. What you gave me is not what I was expecting. And I know I've been seeing people online say good things about it, and I wanted to so bad to say good things, which I did in the beginning, but I ultimately did not like it. And, you know, I am going to give it 2.5 out of 5. Whatever I decide when I edit the video, whatever. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find anything for Malignant, but maybe 2 out of 5 James Wan faces, I guess. Maybe we'll do that. But yeah, that's what I'm going to rate the movie. It's 2.5 out of 5. It just was not what I was expecting. And, you know, by all means, if you watch the movie, let me know comments down below. If you agree with my review, I'd love to hear what you think. Like I said, I was all for watching it. I had high hopes, but just didn't pay off. You know, there's a line in this movie talking about how time to remove the cancer, and I think the only thing that needed to be removed was the cancer in this movie was almost the whole movie. So that tagline could be used against you, unfortunately, James Wan. But anyways, that's my review of Malignant. Let me know in the comments below. As always, be nice, be respectful, and if you have spoilers, try to label them spoilers down below. I've tried my best not to really give anything too much away from the movie, so make sure you respect others when they are watching the video and reading the comments. And that's it for this video, guys. Remember that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time on the Mashup.